What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining me in today's video where I give you my 7 tips for staying on track while enjoying a cheat meal. Let's get started. Tip number 1, stop calling it a cheat meal. Obviously nothing wrong with using the word, but oftentimes using the word cheat has a negative connotation to it. It gives you this sensation that you're doing something bad, doing something when you shouldn't be doing it. A cheat meal can also be called a refeed or a fun meal, or really just a meal that's slightly more decadent, maybe a lot more decadent than some of the meals that you would have if you're actively pursuing fat loss. It is okay from time to time, actually beneficial physiologically and psychologically, to have a break meal or a quote-unquote cheat meal. It does your body good, it allows you to be social with your friends, it allows you to have the food that you want to eat, especially if you're out at a fun restaurant that you're really excited to eat at. So we just want to get away from this idea that having a cheat meal is a bad thing. I prefer to call it a refeed meal. Tip number 2, know the cheat meal in advance. Where we going, man?
Went to Mascot Etobicoke.
Apparently they have a pretty delicious, what?
One of the best chicken sandwiches. Probably the best one I've ever had.
Let's say you're going to a brewery with your friends, like in this case, that's what I was doing. You want to kind of know, okay, am I having this big decadent meal for breakfast? Am I having it for lunch? Am I having it for dinner? When throughout the day am I having it? Because knowing this allows you to prepare pre-meal and post-meal so that you're able to stay completely on track with your fat loss goal. You don't want a cheat meal to turn into a cheat day. A cheat day is much more likely to put a dent in your fat loss pursuit than having one cheat meal. There's a big difference there. Tip number 3, if you're going to have a cheat meal, it's important to taper the amount of calories that you're having pre and post cheat meal. When you are actively pursuing fat loss, chances are you're going to be tapering your calories, and most likely those calories being tapered are ideally going to come from the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating throughout the day. The reason for this is because our bodies really need protein, really need fat, don't really need carbs. This is a little different for everybody, but basically if you don't eat protein and fat, you'll wither away and die. If you don't eat carbs, your body will find a way to adjust. So what I like to do, if I know I'm having a cheat meal, say it's at lunchtime, I'll make my breakfast just a little bit smaller and I'll focus a little bit more on having protein and fat as opposed to having carbs. The reason for this is because likely in the cheat meal itself, it's going to be really heavy in carbohydrates, because let's be honest, a cheat meal that has protein and fat and no carbs isn't really a cheat meal in the first place. Important side note, if I'm working out on the day of a cheat meal, which I actually recommend that you do, and we'll get to that in the next tip, I recommend not skipping breakfast or not eating until the cheat meal completely, because if you are going to have that workout before the cheat meal, it is going to be beneficial to have some energy resources in your body so that you can give that workout your best. Tip number 4, you want to work out. I would work out on a cheat meal day, honestly, because you should be working out in the first place. I mean, if you're actively pursuing fat loss, chances are you want to look a certain way, you want to have a little bit more muscle, a little bit less fat. What you want to be doing is committing to your workout routine. So whether you're working out 3, 4, or 5 days a week, it's important not to skip workouts. Also, psychologically, it is nice to know that you did have a good workout and you did do something extremely positive for your body before you go ahead and have something like a fried chicken sandwich and french fries and a beer like I did on my recent cheat meal. Tip number 5. So at this point, if you followed 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of the previous tips to get to the point where you're now sitting down and you're having that cheat meal, enjoy the heck out of that cheat meal. Be there, be present, whether it's by yourself, with your friends, with your family, whatever it may be. Savor the food, enjoy it guilt-free. Looks 10 out of 10.
Chips and ketchup.
It is 10 out of 10. So just throw that guilt out the window and actually enjoy yourself. If you're actively pursuing fat loss, chances are you're really tapering calories, you're really tapering food, you're focusing on nutrient density and on food quality, and you're not really going to be giving yourself too many opportunities where you can have decadent food like the cheat meal that you're about to have. Tip number 6, I don't really even have to use the hands. I don't know why I keep using the hands, but tip number 6, if possible, increase your step count throughout the day. Now, this makes sense to me for more than one reason, 2 specifically. One is after you have a big cheat meal, chances are obviously you're having some, garbage or dangerous food that could hurt your stomach or really mess up your digestion. So walking or increasing your steps will actually help kickstart and aid that digestion process.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, that meal was absolutely delicious. It was so delicious that I ended up consuming a little more than I probably would have if it wasn't so darn good. I ate so much, I'm a little uncomfortable. Still not a big deal. Day's not ruined, I'm not off track. I'm probably just gonna walk it off.
Number 2, the more steps you have throughout the day, the more active calories you are burning, and that is of course going to help you with the energy balance equation in losing fat long term. Tip number 7, and if you have made it this far in the video, thank you for your commitment and I really appreciate you watching. Commit to having a solid next meal after the cheat meal. What I mean by that is 2 things. Number 1, you want to have a high quality, nutrient dense, filled with fiber, filled with veggies and greens, get the protein in type of meal. And 2 is you probably want to keep the calories just a little bit lower. You probably want to take away some carbohydrates. It doesn't mean that you have to have no carbohydrates. It just means that there better be protein, there better be veg or greens on that plate, because it's going to help you feel so much better after that cheat meal, and it's going to help facilitate the getting back on track process. You are one workout or one good meal away from getting right back on track. So there you have it, guys, my 7 best tips for mitigating the damage done during a cheat meal when you are actively trying to pursue weight loss, fat loss. When we say weight loss, we really mean fat loss, because who wants to lose lean muscle mass? I hope you found this video helpful. Certainly these tips have helped me and helped many of my clients. Best of luck to you in your fitness endeavor, and we will see you in the next video.